Well, welcome back. Here we are again working on this Allis WD. The last video you saw the use of the new brake pin removal tool and how well it worked to pull those pins out. Kind of surprised me. So today we're going to go ahead and get into the brakes on this WD. So in order to do that, we'll have to pull the wheel off and get prepared to pull the axle. So let me flip my camera around and show you what we got going on. Okay, so first I'm going to tackle this right rear wheel and brake. So got a couple of items I need to take off of the chassis. One will be the rear fender, and then two, I need to take the seat and get my opening for the brake housing opened up so that I can go ahead and loosen up the adjustment and get my shoes pulled out. But prior to the shoes coming out, I've got to get the brake rod unthreaded. So I've already had the brake pedal disconnected so I could get the side rail off. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that brake rod out. Hopefully it'll come out of there easily, as easy as those pins did. I'm hoping that I'll have the same luck out of the rods. So we'll get those both sides pulled out while we're doing it, and both covers off. And then once that's done, basically we'll just pull the bolts, and there's a few studs coming out, so we got nuts. We'll take those off and get the cherry picker set up here, and we'll just slide that whole axle out. I've got new rear differential carrier bearings and seals on the way, so we'll go ahead and get this thing opened up so that when those parts arrive, all I got to do is basically just reassemble. So that's one of the things I try to do whenever I'm working on a tractor is, while the parts are en route, I like to go ahead and get everything prepped. So if there's any kind of cleanup or whatever I need to do, I want to go ahead and get that stuff done while I'm waiting on parts. That way when my new parts arrive, all I got to do is worry about putting the thing back together. I don't have to take the time to clean things up and what have you. So the brake pins down there, I want to go ahead and get those cleaned off with a wire wheel, get all of that stuff ready to go. Now also, once I get in there, I may discover that I need some new brake linings. So we may have to make another order for parts, but the parts that I have currently coming, it won't matter whether those brake bands are good or bad, because it's all on the rear end side. So there's the carrier bearing, or retainer rather, and you can see it right there, the bolt sticking through. Those bolt in from inside your brake area, and I've got that bearing and race that you can see, and there's an oil seal. So that's what's going to get replaced, but the only way to do it, of course, is through that outer axle, which I had to have off anyway for the brakes. So with that said, why don't we go ahead and flop over to our time-lapse camera, and I'll go ahead and zip the seat, get these two fenders off on both sides, and just kind of get both sides prepped. But we'll focus really mainly on this right axle. Unless I just breeze through this and it comes out real easy, we probably won't jump over to the left. I like to leave one side on while I work on the other, just for stability of the chassis. So I'm kind of thinking about that, and what kind of cribbing I'm going to have up underneath here. I don't want to use just my floor jack to support one side. I want to go ahead and put some blocks and things up underneath there. With that said, I've got my side rail off here, so that makes it a little bit twisty. You can kind of see that front block is twisted to the right. So it's not as stable as if I had engine and everything in here. But anyway, that's what we're tasked with tonight. So let's get rolling. All right, so step one, we're going to get the tractor lifted up and get that rear wheel taken off and out of the way. These tires do not have fluid in them, so that's why I was able to just roll that by myself. With fluid, I would have probably put my cherry picker on there. Get your rear fender taken off. Then we'll work on that seat, get that cover off into the brake housing and get the seat bracket out of the way. That top bolt, there's your adjustment. If you're going to tighten it up or put more pressure on it, you just tighten that up. We'll get the brake rod taken off of there at this point, and then I'm going to pull these shoes out. You can see those, they just kind of slip out and over. The front side will come out easy. The back side, there's a set bolt there that I'm unscrewing that sets it, and you need to loosen that up first, and then that will allow you to pull that out. So at that point, I'm just kind of looking in there to see what kind of rat's nest that we've got going on, and getting the strap and everything situated so that we can put the cherry picker on there and take the axle out of the rear housing. So a couple of those nuts on there were pretty tight, so I had to break that loose with the breaker bar first before the air impact would take them off. So just getting everything good and stable, and then just basically just slipped it out of there. Okay, so there we go. We've got the axle and everything pulled out. There's your brake drum. It is pressed on there. That used to be, well, that was another model I was thinking, 185 I think is on the spline. But yeah, so that's pressed on. If you've got to get one of those off, it's a bear. But it is doable. So this opens up the whole rat nest area where everything always gets caught up in there. There's where your brake pin that we pulled out earlier goes through, and then it sticks in the inside of the housing just a little bit. That's why those innards, when you cut them out through that hole, they can pull out pretty easy because it's only in there 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And then this is your rear differential bearing carrier. There's a seal in there, and then you can see the spline that's in the back of, or in the side of the rear end right here. So it's right on the inside there. So we're going to pull that out. That's going to give us access to the bearing. We'll replace the bearing and the race and the seal. We'll clean all that stuff up and all the parts, and we'll slide this thing back in and reassemble it. Like I said, I've got parts coming, so we'll get this thing cleaned up. I will not pull off that other side. It's just going to make this tractor too unstable. I can get everything opened up, get my brake shoes and everything out, but I won't actually pull the axle off of there until this side is back on and assembled. So anyway, that's where we're at. Hope that that's been beneficial for you. Here's those brake shoes. They just, this part lays over that part inside there, and the pin goes through. That's the pivot point. So anyway, that's the removing that brake housing, getting all that stuff out. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so you can get notified when my next video is posted, and share it. Thanks for watching.